Have you ever watched Breaking Bad and thought to yourself, wow, that looks like so much fun, I want to do that? Well, you can't. It's illegal. But you know what isn't illegal? Playing a game where you do the exact same thing. Whether it's pushing potent pharmaceutical, potentially psychedelic paraphernalia, or defending your honor against Johnny Law with the aid of the Second Amendment, or maybe just being a rather boring, law-abiding citizen who picks up trash, Schedule 1 has got you covered. In Schedule 1, you play as a small-time plug who almost gets caught by the police, causing you to have to skip town and start a new life with nothing in the city of Highland Point. So now that we've learned our lesson, we are forsaking our foolish ways to lead a better life, right? In Schedule 1, you will plant, cook, shoot, and sell your way to the top of the food chain. You will do this by hooking new customers to your product and expanding your influence with property, businesses, upgrades, and of course, a pinch of underpaid monotonous labor. But before we start rolling in the deep, let us begin our journey in shallow waters, starting with the basics. The gameplay loop is rather simple. Get ingredients, make drugs, sell drugs, repeat. But how do we get the ingredients? How do we make the drugs? How to sell dirt?
We have 40 pounds of product ready to ship. Ready to go.
Are you ready?
For starters, every plug needs a plug, so Uncle Nelson has introduced us to our first supplier, Albert Hoover. Mr. Hoover is our one-stop shop for all things green, and by all things green, I mean he just sells weed seeds. There are other suppliers as well, each one representing your current stage in the game. What's-Her-Face sells you Suedo, which is a precursor ingredient to meth. What's-His-Name sells you cocoa seeds, which is the precursor ingredient to cocaine. In order to order a shipment from a supplier, you'll need to text them what you need, but there is a limit on how much you can purchase at one time. You'll also have to go to a random location on the map to collect that shipment at a dead drop. You'll also have to pay these suppliers at their own specific stashes, which are located in their own specific locations. However, as your relationship with that supplier grows, they will increase the amount you can purchase up until they like you so much that they tell you they want to meet up. And you can buy as much as you want. When this happens, they will text you the location of the meetup, and then you can meet up.
What up, baby?
If you're selling weed and you have a need, come to Dance Hardware. In the early stages of Schedule 1, you'll need to familiarize yourself with a few key vendors in order to expedite the money-making process. There are a handful of vendors in the game, but the only one you really need to worry about right now is Dan's Hardware. Dan's Hardware is where you'll buy everything you need to start growing weed. Dan sells helpful stuff like better soil, which allows more seeds to be planted and weed to be harvested before having to replace that soil. Different fertilizers, which when sprinkled on your seed can do things like make seeds grow faster, raise the weed's quality, or give you a bigger nature's bounty, and I'm not talking about the vitamins. In order to grow some green, you'll need a few things: a grow tent, soil, a watering can, primers, and of course a seed, most of which can be found at Dan's Hardware.
You don't know me, but my name's Si. I'm just the old hair delivery guy, but it seems like trees might be worth a try. So I say, let it grow.
You start by planting the seed in the soil, covering it up, and then making sure it's adequately watered until it grows from precursor to profit. Once a plant is ready to harvest, you'll use your trimmers to click on the parts that look like balls, snipping off the balls until there are no balls left. Congratulations, you now have weed, but you'll need to package it so that you can sell it to customers. To do this, you'll need a packaging station to pack your product and packaging to put the product in. Baggies and jars can be bought from pretty much any store, and packaging stations stations can be bought at Dance Hardware. Baggies hold 1 of any product and jars hold 5 of any product. In order to package something, you'll throw the product in the left slot of the packaging station and the packaging in the right slot. Then you get to click and drag your product into its designated packaging. Once you're done, you can grab your product and voila! You now have profitable product ready to sell. But who do we sell it to?
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45.
Customers are your bread and butter for making mogul money in Schedule 1. In order to gain a customer, you'll simply walk up to someone and hand them a free sample of your product. The likelihood that you'll gain them as a customer is entirely dependent on what type of weed you're giving them. This is because different customers have different preferences as to what kind of effects they enjoy inducing within themselves. Once you have them as a customer though, you can safely ignore this and just make the most addictive, expensive product possible so they come crawling back for more, sometimes literally. Most customers in the starting areas have very low standards, and it's pretty easy to just spam them with basic low-cost product to acquire their patronage. But in the latter stages of the game, you'll have to get creative with your creations in order to satisfy new customers and their rather heinous hankerings. Or just send them to the hospital to give them ample time to rethink their decision to not buy your product. Once you have a customer, they'll hit you up from time to time to set up a deal. They'll ask for a certain amount of product, and in return, they'll provide a certain amount of cold hard cash. You can negotiate the amount, time, and even the product sold in these deals. But keep in mind that some customers are bigger spenders than others, and you'll need to do some experimenting in order to find the high rollers and the low ballers. When negotiating a price for customers, you can, if you really wanted to, charge them way over what the product is actually worth, and in return, the customer will proceed to say no in the nicest way possible. This may seem scary, losing money on deals, but don't be alarmed. Your customers are still your customers no matter what. When a deal falls through, it will just be a while before they contact you again. The amount of time a customer takes to strike up another deal with you is dependent on their satisfaction and how addicted they are to your product.
Listen man, I need that by the 9 divines Talos certified Daedric Skuma straight from the gates of oblivion ASAP, no rock.
You enjoy spending long hours deep into the night crafting the most diabolical of concoctions to sell straight to derelict and dodgy denizens so that they can ascend from this mortal plane? Well, then I've got just the thing for you. Mixing is just that, mixing. Buy a mixing station, throw a pinch of product and a pint of a random ingredient like kook or a banana, and then watch as your OG Kush becomes a classic Tokyo Balls. Legendary! Mixing is how you turn your basic product into something a little bit more shocking. It's all about finding a combination that's easy enough to replicate at scale while also being more profitable than your regular stuff. Don't sweat trying to make the most complicated mix ever early on. While that may not sell for a lot, it's better to settle on a decent mix that you can automate early so you can upgrade from the less valuable basic stuff. Once you get to endgame or even midgame, where you have the property and the room, then you can go for the more complicated stuff. Gas marts are always open and are the place where you'll buy all your mixing ingredients. You can order online from your phone or just pick them up yourself. Up to you. This is often where I would peddle my new experimental products. Javier buys often. Charles does not.
Hey Charles, you need some of that Walter Addy Flu Semen Bean Gasoline Battery Extreme.
No thanks.
Shifu found him as a cub. Shifu trained him. He believed in him.
That's not my fault. Not your fault. Who filled my head with greed?
He told him he was destined for
Traded
greatness.
till my mouth cracked.
But Uguay saw darkness in his heart and refused.
I have come home, master.
When you find a mix that you think is both profitable and easy enough for you to replicate, you can list it for sale. You can do this by going to the product app on your phone, finding your desired product, and clicking the list for sale button. You can also change the price of this product, but as far as I can tell, this won't change profit margins much in the long run. This is because customers have a base amount that they are willing to pay, and to an extent, a more expensive product will just cause them to buy less product. Instead of bumping up the listing price, I just upcharge them in the negotiation.
See, there's no laughing matter. Like once I met this guy, who knew 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 this guy's cousin.
Are you sure?
Everyone knows someone in Highland Point. As you do business with your customers, you'll eventually gain access to new suppliers and dealers. Dealers are essential to supplying your ever-growing list of customers and are a great way to offload some of those customers to others while you focus on more important things, like losing your money in the casino or crippling someone for life because they didn't like your product. There are a grand total of 6 dealers, 1 dealer for each new area, and you'll need to unlock those areas and the dealer's closest contact in order to unlock said dealer. While dealers do have a substantial signing fee and do take a 20% cut of the sales they make, it's still a very good deal if you have a surplus of product and customers. The trick here is to give your dealers low-paying customers and keep all the high rollers to yourself. I could tell you who these are, but I'm not going to because I have learned in the past few days that the internet is not always accurate. Who'd have thought? Another reason is because this game is very prone to over-optimization. You can find all the best routes, the best mixes, and the best property setups, but once you do all that, there's really nothing left for you to do, as this is an early access title. My recommendation is to find your own fun at your own pace so that you can get your IRL money's worth out of this game.
Me graduating Dictator College, and this is me taking over the world with smiles, and this is where I put
Sponsor.
if I had one.
Why, hello there, it's me again. Just thought I'd swing by and ask why you haven't subscribed yet, or commented, or liked the video. On a more serious note, I'd like to thank you guys for helping me hit 1,000 subscribers. It's been a dream of mine for the longest time to have a successful YouTube channel, and you guys have brought me one step closer to realizing that dream, and I just want to say thanks. On another note, I've decided to close the Patreon. I know I already linked it in the last video, but I honestly didn't expect to hit 1,000 subs so quickly, so now I'm just going to switch it over to the YouTube membership thing. It's just more convenient. I'm still going to be streaming on Twitch though, hopefully, eventually, sometime soon. So if you're interested in watching me play games for upcoming videos, and hey, maybe you could even make it into one, stop by the Twitch to see what's up. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
I bought a property in Egypt, and what they do for you is they give you the property.
Hey yo, chill the f out, yo. You sitting there playing with the
Now that you're starting to get a little money, it's about time you move out of this dirty little musty dusty motel, and we can do that by taking a stroll on over to Ray's Realty. This guy will sell you all the properties available currently in the game, each for a small, honest sum. You'll want to grab a property when you've filled out the properties you already own to their maximum capacity, as each subsequent property is bigger and better, offering more room to scale up your bad business. You know, honestly, it's almost like you're redefining what the word bad means. Almost as if you're Breaking Bad. You can't really scale with the motel or the sweatshop as you can only have one employee there at a time. But the bungalow, barn, and warehouse all have way more room for employees, allowing you to scale whatever product you're wanting to sell. The thing is though, that Ray only takes card, so we'll have to get into...
I'm in a waste management business. Everybody immediately assumes you're mobbed up. It's a stereotype, and it's offensive.
There are a few different businesses up for purchase in Highland Point, which like properties can also be bought at Ray's Realty. None of these businesses are for actual business though, as they only serve to help launder your dirty money. Money laundering is essential for making big online purchases such as properties and ingredients. Other than this, not much use. I mean, the hardware stores and Ray's Realty only take card, but you're not really using hardware stores as much at this point other than for storage racks maybe, and most of their business is taken by Oscar, who only takes cash. Once you've purchased every property and business, there isn't much else to spend money on except maybe vehicles and ever-growing online ingredient orders. There's also a jewelry store, a tattoo shop, a haircut joint, and a clothing outlet, all taking card, but none of these are really all that expensive. You can also deposit a large chunk of change at the ATM once a week if you don't feel like renewing your daily vows to cleaning your dirty cash. When dealing, you'll have to be careful to not be seen by the popo, because if they see you making their weekly salary in a single 10-second deal, they won't be very good sports about it and will try to arrest you. Cops also spawn at these traffic stops, and in order to pass by them, you'll have to consent to a search. Beyond this gross impeachment of privacy, you can actually click each item in your inventory to hide it from the boys in blue when they search you. Or you can just walk around the traffic stop. Up to you. Danger? I am the danger. If a cop decides to search you for whatever reason, and you decide for whatever reason that you don't want to be searched, the cops will again try to arrest you. If you escalate this by continually running into new cops while running from the original cop, you will then be labeled as a wanted individual. If you then escalate this further with violence, you will then be wanted, dead or alive, and they will proceed to try and lawfully murder you. Each status will eventually go away with time if you haven't been seen recently by a cop, but being seen by a cop fully resets this timer to whatever it got up to during the encounter. Since there is a curfew past 9, if you are spotted by a cop past curfew, the police will again try to arrest you. However, if you don't like cops snooping around at night, you can just block them at the police station where they spawn with one of your vehicles, and they will no longer be a problem for you. When you get arrested, this happens. I don't have gameplay of it because I have not been arrested a single time, and I would like for it to stay that way. Once you reach a certain rank, you will unlock some of the most important vendors in the game. The guy that sells you workers, the guy that sells you way better growth and chemistry supplies, and the guy that sells you guns. Admittedly, there are only 2 guns available to purchase in the game currently. However, the other 2 vendors are of the utmost import to your ever-growing criminal crop corral. The plant guy is Oscar. The worker guy is Gus Fring. His actual name is Manny, but I'm calling him Gus Fring because he looks like Gus Fring. I mean, come on. Oscar sells you better supplies to grow your weed faster, while also carrying high-tech equipment and chemistry gear to help you make less potentially harmful and addictive substances, like meth. Gus is obviously my favorite, and probably the most important vendor in the mid to late game, as he is your one-stop shop for hiring new employees to underpay and overwork while you make tens of thousands of dollars. There are 4 different types of workers, each bringing their own unique benefits to the table except the cleaner. The botanist grows, maintains, and harvests your devil's lettuce. The handler moves and packages items, and the chemist handles machinery like mixers, chem stations, cauldrons, and the like. Like dealers, each subsequent worker will cost you a hefty signing fee and a daily wage that varies based on the worker. So we have our workers, but how do we get them to work? Every worker needs an assigned bed and at minimum their daily wage before they start working. You can assign workers using your clipboard by pressing 9. This clipboard is given to you by Gus once you acquire your first employee. Simply press 9 to pull up the clipboard, walk over to your employee, and left click, which will pull up their information. In order to assign a worker to something, you'll need to click this little box right here next to assign bed. Your next click will assign the worker to a bed if you click on a free bed within the property. Do note that you have to go up to a free bed, denoted by its gray color, and click on it in order to assign the bed. Once that is done, their bed will have a briefcase on it. This is where you will deposit the worker's daily wages. Unfortunately, as I may have misled you here, the workers are to be paid their listed wages or they will not work for that day. Where's capitalism when you need it? Am I right? You can have up to 5K stacked here, so keep that in mind if you want to just not have to come back here every day to pay your workers. Once a worker has their bed and at least their daily wages, they will now finally begin to work. No, they won't. You want to know why? Because you haven't told them to do anything yet. If you want to assign a botanist to a plant, you'll click that box and then click on a plant, which will bring up the clipboard again so that you can repeat the process until satisfied. The botanist also has a couple of routes that you could assign him to so that he can place your finished product. For chemists, it's the same deal. Just click on the box next to stations and assign the desired station. For handlers, it's a bit different as they have both stations and routes. Routes are how you tell the handler what to move where. For instance, if I assign the handler to a route with a storage rack then to a packaging station at that point, whenever that storage rack has something on it, the handler will then move it to the packaging station so long as there is room. Handlers are essential to players utilizing a multi-mixing station setup to create products that require multiple mixes. The product product I'm currently making requires 8 additional ingredients, so I have 8 mixing stations and a storage rack near each of them. Most, if not all stations, including mixing stations, can be assigned a destination. In this case, it means when a mixing station is done mixing, the chemist will actually move the mixed product to the next mixing station. The handlers in this example are in charge of keeping the mixing ingredients stocked in the mixers, and all the chemists have to do is mix the product, then move that mixed product to its next destination. Transportation is a huge must-have in Highland Point. Golden skateboard for speed, beeper for storage. The casino is actually profitable, if you can believe it. More often than not, you will actually turn a profit on the slot machines here. The jackpot being 10,000 is great for an early game start or an early to mid game boost. You can also play blackjack and whatever this game is called. Very nice. If the game dev could add a no-limit Texas Hold'em table, I'd be a very happy Heisenberg. And there we have it. This is everything you need to know to start playing Schedule 1. If I had to give it a rating in the state that it's currently in, I'd give it a strong 7 out of 10. The gameplay loop is there, making and selling drugs is super fun, everything is pretty polished for an early access game, besides that one time I got LBLJ'd straight into the ocean, or that time I couldn't get into the laundromat I already bought for some reason. The first 20 or so hours of this game are an absolute blast, not to mention the music, which somehow sounds exactly like Making Money does. Not that I would know what Making Money sounds like. However, as it is an early access title, it needs some more fleshing out. The end game falls off rather quickly when it just comes down to getting enough ingredients to keep your employees working, and I'd like for there to be a way to automate the process of unloading delivery vans as well. Beyond a certain point, there's nothing to spend all your hard-earned money on, so that needs some work as well. I think this game has great potential to be a $20 GTA, honestly. Bigger multiplayer lobbies, more guns, more properties, more ways to spend money, mini games, and actually making money and actually working at the businesses that you buy would all be awesome additions in my humble, personal, 100% completely objectively correct opinion. Thanks for watching and have a great day.